administration is planning to end the COVID public health emergency on May 11th. That marks a shift away from responding to the pandemic as a national crisis and instead managing the virus more like a seasonal respiratory disease.
In this video, we're going to go ahead on and look back at the Biden administration and everything that they did for the American people. They were an administration that tried their best to do for the people and not for themselves and their friends. So we're just going to take this video and look at some things that happened over the course of Biden-Harris administration to show contrast between what we're getting now and what we had with that administration.
The public health and national emergencies have enabled hospitals to respond more flexibly when faced with spikes in patient volume. It has also effectively barred states from withdrawing people from Medicaid. And that is just the beginning of it, Andrew. You think about all of the things that will come from this. You know, this has been a huge issue when it comes to not being able to kick people out of their homes or their apartments if they haven't paid the rent or the mortgage. It comes to student loans that have been extended time and time again, based on the idea that we are still in a national emergency. And it's counter to what Biden himself has said, that the pandemic's over, when he's given interviews on some of these things. So it's a lot of confusing policies, and you can bet that there will be lawsuits that will continue on all sides of this.
Folks, just a reminder of how bad things were. We lost almost 1 million people to COVID-19 under the Trump administration. And Biden and Harris came in and were dealt a really, really bad economy. And they got us out of that COVID crisis. It took a while, but they kept their heads down and did the work to get us out of that crisis and into what we can call now was a pretty good economy. So we'll continue here.
We need to make these chips here in America to bring down everyday costs and create good-paying American jobs. And don't take my word for it. Listen to the leaders of IBM and across the country. They're making decisions right now about where to invest to produce these chips. And they're choosing America because they see we're coming back. We're leading the way. As I said, since I came to office, our economy has created 10 million jobs, 668 manufacturing jobs.
Instead of putting people out of work, even government officials out of work the way the Trump administration is doing right now, the Biden-Harris administration decided to put out some incentives, spend a little money to get these companies to start manufacturing here in this country again. Started building EV battery factories. Some chip manufacturing plants were starting to be built. And Donald Trump, when he got in office, they halted all of that. So that's why we're where we are right now.
Proof that Made in America is no longer a slogan. It's a reality. And the CHIPS and Science Act makes historic investment in companies to build advanced manufacturing facilities here in America. Since I signed into law last summer, we've seen incredible progress. Just here in the Hudson Valley, IBM is investing $20 billion over the next 10 to design and manufacture semiconductor, mainframe technology, and quantum computers. In Syracuse, the company Micron announced it's going to invest $100 billion over the next 20 years to build factories to make special memory chips. You'd have to explain to you all what a memory chip is. Those chips that store information on your smartphone, among other things. It's going to create 50,000 jobs and create an increase in America's share of the memory chips, increase it by 500%. That would be the largest American investment of its kind ever, 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 ever. 13.4 million new jobs, 150,000 new jobs in the state of Wisconsin.
Look at the date of this press conference, of this interview he did. Look at the date. We still had a whole year left to go for him to create even more jobs for the American people. It was about us. It was not about him and his wealthy friends.
800,000 new manufacturing jobs nationwide. And unemployment has been below 4% for the longest stretch in over 50 years. And while unemployment is down, in case you haven't noticed, inflation is down too and it's going lower. Remember what the experts said, to get inflation under control, you need to lower wages and higher unemployment. And one reason we've seen inflation fall by 2/3 without losing jobs is that we're seeing corporate profits come back down to earth. We have more to do with inflation, though. It's just about 3% now. It's predicted to go lower than that. We're near the lowest point in over 2 years. And at the same time, we pay for low-wage workers has grown at the fastest rate in 2 decades. Wages are growing faster than inflation. Each year, these junk fees, in addition, that companies charge cost Americans tens of billions of dollars, weighing down family budgets and making it harder for people to pay their bills. So my administration is taking action to eliminate these fees. First,
listen at what President Biden was focusing on. He was focusing on things that was hurting everyday Americans. He wasn't focusing on trying to manipulate the stock market and put across the board tariffs on other countries, even our allied countries. He was focusing on everyday things that were harming the American people. Junk fees. As soon as Donald Trump came into office, guess what happened to those junk fees? They are back. He's allowing these banks and these corporations to hit us with these fees again.
Imagine this. Your child outgrows his bicycle, and you decide to sell it online. And someone pays you a check, pays you $30 for the bicycle or something. Days later, that check that you got paid with, that you deposited in your bank, it bounces. You didn't know it was bad, but you get charged $15. You get charged $15. It's wrong. It's ridiculous. It's unfair. My administration is making clear today it's illegal as well. Second, my administration is also making clear surprise overdraft fees are illegal. Listen to how those fees work. And some of you all know this, because you know from your everyday lives. But you pay a bill and you double check your bank account to make sure before you write the check that you have enough in your account to cover it. You've gotten the money, so you go ahead and you pay. And it turns out your balance wasn't up to date because your bank was slow in processing other charges. And by the time the bank gets around to settling the transaction, you've overdrawn your account. You're charged an overdraft fee that runs around $35 each time.
Also tonight, relief is on the way for millions of Americans with federal student loans. President Biden pledged to wipe away at least $10,000 of college debt for many and up to $20,000 for others.
Here's another one something to help everyday Americans. Student loan debt, the predatory loans that so many people are under that can't get from under those loans. He went after it and he had success. In the face of the opposition party, which is the Republicans, he still had some success with these student loans, and I thank him for it.
A move that could cost $300 billion.
Under his plan, Pell Grant recipients will have $20,000 of debt forgiven. Millions of other borrowers will get $10,000. But there is one requirement. The borrowers must make less than $125,000 to receive the relief. Loan payments will be put on hold one final time, but are set to resume in January.
95% of the borrowers can benefit from these actions. That's 43 million people. Of the 43 million, over 60% are Pell Grant recipients. That's 27 million people who will get $20,000 in debt relief. Nearly 45% can have their student debt fully canceled. That's 20 million people who can start getting on with their lives. All this means people can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt.
10 Tampa Bay's Hannah Deneen spoke with local college students today. Some say they are thrilled by this announcement. Others say their unsure plan that only impacts some students is what's best for all.
This is taking off like 2 semesters of college for me, like a year of college, and that's incredible.
For USF St. Pete Jr. Olivia Smith, having $10,000 less in student loans could change her life.
I, believe it or not, actually thought about transferring back home because of financial reasons, and this could be one of the leading reasons that I stay and finish my degree here in St. Pete.
But the matter of fairness weighs on other students.
For those that are in difficult situations and stuff like that, I think it's good, but at the same time, there's people that already paid their student loans, and it's like, it's a bummer. Why do they get the chance and I didn't get notified ahead of time.
USF senior Christian Rivera chose a local school for the in-state tuition and worked hard for scholarships so that he could graduate without debt.
The people that are on the other end that won't be able to take advantage of it, it's, a bummer.
I can see a lot of people, especially recent graduates who recently retired their loan debt, who are going to say, hey, wait a minute, I just made the last payment on my loan. Where's my $10,000?
Well, guess what? Everybody can't get everything. And just because you're not eligible or you're not going to reap the benefits of the student loan debt forgiveness doesn't mean that you shouldn't want it for other people. I didn't hear the same sentiment for all of these rich people, movie stars, athletes getting their PPP loans forgiven. That was over $1 trillion that were given out during the COVID crisis to all of these rich people. So if you can give relief to these athletes and movie stars and all of these folks with the PPP loans to the tune of trillions of dollars, why not help the small person out with the student loan debts, those predatory student loans? Why not?
Victor Clark is an associate professor of economics at Florida Gulf Coast University. Beyond triggering discussions of equity, he says the plan will almost certainly increase the national debt.
In my experience, government rarely reduces some spending when it increases other spending.
But with the rising cost of higher education and inflation, some see it as necessary to keep the country moving forward.
College doesn't cost what it used to be. It's an astronomically high number. And this is to help this generation, which is the future of this country.
Hannah Deneen, 10 Tampa Bay.
Under Biden's plan, leaders with the Department of Education are also proposing income-driven payment plans be capped at 5% of monthly income. They're also discussing overhauling the public service loan forgiveness program.
Good luck to this next generation. I hope they can graduate college debt-free. And I just wanted to do a little reminder video on the Biden-Harris administration and how they fought for, behind the scenes mostly, the American people and doing things for the small person, the next door neighbor, and making things better for us and not making it all about themselves. So thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.
I ask you guys to like and subscribe and share with your friends.